Hey Bears fans, if you are fired up about Justin Fields, type me down in the comments section. On today's video, we're going to basically give my 5 reasons on why he's just going to succeed. He's not going to fail. So if you're fired up, if you're still just on cloud 9 since the Bears drafted this guy, type me in the comments. And on today's show, let's talk a little Justin Fields as the future in Chicago. You're watching Chicago Bears Now. I am your host, Harrison Graham. On today's show, we're going to break down Justin Fields. I'm going to give 5 reasons to why I believe he will succeed and he will be the savior that the Bears have been looking for quite a long time in Chicago. So stay tuned for that. I've got 5 reasons to why I believe he will succeed. Number 1, Justin Fields is embracing history. What does that mean? That's a loose phrase, right? He's embracing history. Well, he's battling against 2 uphill battles in terms of history. Number 1, the Bears' QB history is catastrophically bad. It's a joke. They literally, in their history, have never had an elite quarterback. Name one. What, Sid Luckman in the 40s? Okay, for those of you old enough who were still alive when Sid Luckman was running around, okay, they've had one. Other than him, they haven't had one. Jim McMahon, he's not a franchise quarterback. He recently called the Packers a better franchise that he played for. He doesn't even count. Jay Cutler, good quarterback, not a franchise guy. Trubisky's like top 5 in a lot of categories. We know he's not a franchise guy. He's embracing the challenge of being the next Chicago Bears and really the first one to ever be big time. This photo really stood out to me. This was a day or 2 after he got drafted. He visited Hallis Hall, wanted to soak it all in. He's looking at the little, what do you call that, the Legends case, I guess, at Hallis Hall. Do you see any quarterback jerseys in there? No, it's Walter Payton, it's Urlacher, it's all these other guys, these legends that have played in Chicago, but there's no quarterbacks. He's thinking, hey, that could be me. I could be that guy in this trophy case. I could be the greatest quarterback to ever play for one of the original franchises. The second part of history that he is embracing, this whole, Ohio State, they can't have good quarterbacks in the NFL. And you know what? They haven't. In their history, no good pros for Ohio State quarterbacks. We all thought Dwayne Haskins would be the next guy. Didn't have a good work ethic. Didn't work out with Washington. We'll see if he revitalizes his career. Fields is aware of this. He's not a dumb guy. He's going to embrace this. He already has embraced this, and I'm fired up for his chances of being the best quarterback in Bears history because A, there hadn't been a lot of good ones, and B, he's got the right attitude to become that guy in Chicago. And don't get overwhelmed with this, he's from Ohio State. He's not going to be good. That doesn't matter. Texas Tech never had anyone before Patrick Mahomes. What's a QBU? Michigan? I don't want to hear it. Do you believe in Justin Fields? Type Y for yes. Type in for no. I absolutely think this kid is going to be a stud. Get your votes in. Y for yes, in for no. Do you believe in Justin Fields and his future? Number 2, let's talk a little more football aspect. He's got all the tools, right? And we've talked about this quite a bit. Pre-draft, after the draft, since then, he can do it all from a physical standpoint. You just can't teach 6'2", 230 with a rocket arm that can make all the throws. You can't do it. He's got all of the physical tools. He can throw a beautiful deep ball. He can throw on the run. He can win in the pocket, underneath, intermediate, deep. His most inaccurate throws at Ohio State were checkdowns because he just rarely did it. So when he did, he would typically airmail them at times. He'll clean that up in the NFL. He'll understand you got to take the 5-6 yards at times. He can make all the hard throws. Once he cleans up the easy ones, what can't this kid do? By the way, remember this exchange that we showed you guys several weeks back on from Matt Nagy and Ryan Day back in 2020 when the Bears were scouting some of Ohio State's other players before that draft. Nagy said, hey, how about that quarterback of yours? Because Fields had finished his first year at Ohio State. Day says, dude, generational talent. Nagy, wow, that's pretty powerful. Day goes, he's 6'2", 220, can run a 4.4 40, and he might be in the 4.3s. Matt Nagy says that's wild. So Nagy had his eyes on him. We'll talk more Nagy aspect on this in just a moment. The point is, the full playbook, the full arsenal is available for Fields. He can make all the throws. You can run the goal line read option, under center, play action, throw on the move. I love Andy Dalton. You can't run rollout plays, deep crossers, and ask your quarterback to throw 30-yard darts with Dalton. You can with Justin Fields. He can make that throw. Justin Fields won't fail because of lack of physical attributes. He's got all of that, there's no doubt. Subscribe to Chicago Bears Now. We've got live shows every single Tuesday. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our coverage. Live shows on Tuesdays and then videos every single day as well. It's youtube.com/BearsNow. Don't miss any of our coverage here on Chicago Bears Now. Number 3, Matt Nagy believes in him. No matter what Matt Nagy said in the past, he didn't believe in Mitchell Trubisky. You know how I know that? Watch how he called a playoff game against the Saints last year. That told us all we needed to know. This coaching staff, led by Nagy, didn't think Mitch could get it done. They were terrified to let him cut it loose in a win-or-go-home playoff game. Nagy's got his guy now. He's had his eyes on Justin Fields since March of 2020, since he had that conversation with his old pal Ryan Day. They go back to their college days when they played each other in Division II action back in the 80s and the 90s, I believe. Maybe it was the 90s. Nagy believes in this kid. And I've told you guys, has Nagy had flaws as the Bears head coach? No doubt. His evaluations of quarterbacks, though, I trust that very, very much because he nailed the 2017 draft when he was a part of the Kansas City Chiefs coaching staff. Justin Fields can make all the throws, like we already mentioned. Nagy's got this kid now, deep ball, intermediate. He can do all that, and I think he's going to love Fields' mobility. Remember, you guys always used to say when we would compare Trubisky versus Foles, you got to play Trubisky because he's more mobile. Yeah, that was true. Fields' mobility dunks on Trubisky's. Trubisky was like a 4'6", 4'7" guy. Fields is a 4'4" guy. He's a running back playing quarterback. That's how fast he is, and he's physical. He's big. He's tough as nails. This is going to be fun to watch, guys. I think Matt Nagy is still drinking champagne following that draft pick. You guys probably saw on social media, it emerged a couple of weeks ago that Nagy started yelling out curse words after they drafted Fields because he basically signifying, thank goodness I finally have my guy in Chicago. I might actually stick around. I think Fields is going to save Matt Nagy, and I think this is going to be a fun partnership for a very long time. I could be wrong, but I really do believe that it will happen. Will Matt Nagy make it work with Justin Fields? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. I think he's got 2 seasons to get it done to prove that he can this year and next year. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Will Matt Nagy make it work with Justin Fields? And if you want to get his jersey, they're still available for you guys, despite how fast they are selling. By the way, remember I've been telling you guys they may not ship out until June. A couple of you guys have messaged me saying, hey, Fields jersey came in. So get in line and order. They might be shipping out quicker than expected. Chatsports.com/Fields1. That link will be in the comments. It'll be in the description. We got the navy. We got the white. We got the orange. All 3 primary colors available for you guys. And I'll continue to plug these as well. If you're on maybe a little bit of a budget, maybe you're a college student or something like that, the Nike t-shirts, they're like $35. It's a pretty good deal for a high quality shirt to rep Justin Fields and the Bears. Chatsports.com/Fields1. That link is in the comments. It's in the description. Get a Justin Fields jersey and a t-shirt today. Couple more points here. Why will Justin Fields shine? The weapons are in place. Now, I think a lot of people sleep on the skill talent that Chicago has. Now, is this a Kansas City skill group of Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill? Of course not. But I think David Montgomery is an incredibly underrated running back. I think he's a top 10 back, maybe can make a push for top 5 this year. Had 1,500-plus all-purpose yards last year and 10 touchdowns behind that garbage offensive line for most of the year. Obviously, it played a lot better down the stretch. But he's a dynamic player both in the run and in the pass game. And you've got a true number 1 receiver in Allen Robinson who has put up these kind of numbers with below-average quarterback play the past couple of years. So Justin Fields has 2 really friendly weapons on offense, a true number 1 receiver and a running back, as the Bears will take some pressure off him, especially early, by running the football. And you've got other guys, too. I like Tariq Cohen. He'll be back. He'll be healthy. He's a dynamic player out of the backfield. You can play him in the slot as well. You guys know how I feel about Darnell Mooney. I think this kid is going to be a fantastic number 2 receiver for quite some time. He is a 4-3 guy, an absolute burner. I think they're going to hit more deep balls with him this year. Jimmy Graham, the tight end, hey, say what you want, 8 touchdowns last year. He's a veteran. He's got value in the red zone. I think he's a weapon that can help Justin Fields, and I think Cole Kmet as well. The Bears have good weapons. They have pieces in place, and that doesn't even include, like, what can a Damian Williams give you this year after a year off last season? Can Daz Newsome, Anthony Miller, some of these other young pieces, Marquise Goodwin, a veteran receiver, those are guys who have played in the NFL for the most part. Obviously not the rookies there, but Goodwin has. Demir Byrd had a good year last year. There's some good players on this offense. Now it's up to this coaching staff to maximize these guys, but it's not like Justin Fields is walking into what the Jets had, right, with like Sam Darnold a couple years ago, and even with Zach Wilson. There's pieces in place, and that will help Justin Fields. Who will have the better season this year? I think this is a better question than maybe some of you would think. Type DM for David Montgomery, AR for Allen Robinson. Both had terrific years in 2020. Who will have the bigger year in 2021? DM for Montgomery, AR for Robinson. Can't wait to see this play out. I might lean Montgomery, but go ahead and get your votes in. All right, my fifth and final reason to why I believe Justin Fields will shine as the Chicago Bears quarterback for the next decade plus is he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. Actually, forget that. This kid is going to have a boulder on his shoulder for a couple of reasons. Number one, he fell all the way to the number 11 overall pick, and he is not happy about that. He is flat out pissed. Remember, Bears Twitter freaked out like, oh, he looks upset now that the Bears have drafted him. No. It wasn't about the team that drafted him. It was about the NFL passing on this kid. He outdueled the number 1 pick in Trevor Lawrence just a few months prior to the draft. He's played a lot higher stakes and at a higher level than a guy like Trey Lance that went number 3 overall, and he falls to number 11? That's flat out disrespectful. That's why he was upset and had that serious look on draft night. And then you see this development of John Lynch, after he hopped on Chris Collinsworth podcast, said that Kyle Shanahan was drawing up plays with Trey Lance in his mind on his iPad on the plane ride home from Justin Fields' pro day. So they go to his pro day and they leave, and immediately you're drawing up plays for Trey Lance. The amount of disrespect that this kid endured during the draft process was ridiculous. He is going to refuse to fail. You see him putting the work in already. He's in the gym early, multiple times a day. He showed up to Bears rookie minicamp 2 days early. That way he could get some extra work in and be ready to go. First in the building, last to leave. That's the type of approach he has had in the month or so since he's been drafted by Chicago, and he means business. Larry Borum, here's what he had to say at rookie minicamp. He's 100% about business. It's not fun and games when we are on the field. He wants to do the job at the highest level, and I believe that he will do the job at a very, very high level whenever that time comes. I'm fired up about this kid. He's got a boulder on his shoulder. He is going to remember falling outside of the top 10 for a very, very long time. If you're as excited about Justin Fields as I am, type me down in the comment section. Get your me's in there right now, and we'll see you next time.